Alright, so if you guys don't know by now, Kyrie Irving recently reached out to LeBron James and apologized for not appreciating his leadership from their tenure in Cleveland. And quite frankly, this makes sense for everyone but the Boston Celtics, who are stuck in a weird place right now. Today we're going to look at what Kyrie Irving really does for the Boston Celtics, positive, negative, and how he truly leaves them in a crucial situation where one bad decision could ruin everything that the Celtics had worked so hard to build over the last 5 years. Alright, to begin, we have to look at Kyrie's apology to LeBron and basically read what he's saying when he apologizes and what he's really saying. He stated that, in quote, "I wanted to be the guy that led us to a championship. I wanted to be the leader. I wanted to be all that. And the responsibility of being the best in the world and leading a team is something that is not meant for many people," end quote. Yes, while he may apologize slightly for his actions, to LeBron James, let's really analyze what he meant to do with that statement. Now, I'm sure Kyrie understands that it's one thing to beg for leadership and it's another thing to actually have to take the reins. But Kyrie knows that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, along with Terry Rozier, all believe that they are being held back in some way, shape, or form right now. And he is using psychological warfare to get to them, to see the treasure at the end of the road. Kyrie knows that these young players feel that they are all franchise-worthy talents, and that what they did last year negates the need for Kyrie's presence on the team. So Kyrie is resorting to admitting his faults of his past in an effort to make these young players feel that if you attempt to break off and do your own ISO thing, that basically what happened is you will run into the same issues elsewhere. Alright, I do believe that Kyrie is slightly sorry about how he ended things with LeBron. However, I do not believe for 1 second that he is sorry for leaving, because let us remember that LeBron tried to call him kid repeatedly through their Cleveland years, and which is something that Kyrie hates to be called, as you can see with his alter ego persona, Uncle Drew, which is an older guy. It's a very clear attempt to mature him in some way, shape, or form, which he is very mature. But as we can see, he hates being called kid, as well as him being asked if he looks up to LeBron as a father figure, which he strongly detests because he is very proud of his father and always makes sure to accentuate that. This is why I was able to figure out that Kyrie is not feeling guilty about much. And look, he's just really trying to say, he's trying to get his younger teammates to wake up and realize that he is clearly their best player, and to make things work, players just got to fall in line and know their roles. This is where we're going to analyze why the Celtics are more of a sticky situation than people realize. Right now in Anthony Davis trade sweepstakes, they're forced to be an audience member and not active participants because of the Rose Rule. This means that basically any player who falls under this Rose Rule cannot be traded for multiple times by the same team at the same season. To be under these Rose Rule extensions, it's basically a rule that happens when you get an extension on your rookie contract. So on your rookie contract during that time period, you would have had to have won an MVP award, Defensive Player of the Year, or 2 All-NBA selections. At the time, you could have had 2 All-Star starting odds as well. The reason you would have wanted to have had the Rose Rules because then you could have gotten paid like a superstar while only being a rookie. This is why guys like Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis are under that rule. So in order to obtain Anthony Davis, the Celtics, they would have to actually trade Irving, because you can't have both of them. You couldn't have traded for both of them if they're both under that extension, that Rose Rule extension. So this is why it's such a tough decision right now for the Celtics, because there's many ways this could go. Various ways this could end, and if they don't do the right thing, it could end very terribly after all the hard work they've done those 5 years to obtain all these draft picks, all this young talent. So let's just go through all of them, all the possibilities right now. If they traded for AD, they would have to package Kyrie, and at this point in the game, package Kyrie and possibly a draft pick, or just straight up Kyrie for AD. This would leave Boston without their MVP candidate from last year, and would reduce their spacing considerably, because despite popular opinion, Kyrie is a great off-ball player. If you watch Boston's games for the last 2 seasons, you would have seen so. Alright, the other piece is that Kyrie Irving, he's straight up an assassin. Alright, this is that simple. He's cold-blooded. And I say this because he has the championship pedigree. He wasn't no bench warmer in the 2016 finals, alright? Some people thought he was finals MVP. I didn't, but some people thought that, and they had a good reason to think so. He hit the dagger in Game 7 to seal the game after putting up monster numbers with Brown. Alright, Kyrie knows what it takes to win championships, and he's got that ice-cold ability to just hit shots, as we saw the other night against the Toronto Raptors. Now, Anthony Davis, on the other hand, has been quite coddled by the NBA media. Alright, and he has received very little criticism for the lack of success in New Orleans this year, while his contemporaries like Greek Freak are balling out and having MVP caliber seasons. All right, AD has only once made it out of the first round, and his leadership is questionable at times. All right, in 2015 against the Warriors in the playoffs, he couldn't steal a game. Game 3 on home court. You know, they had the Warriors up. Going into the fourth quarter, they had him pinned. They could have won that game. They let Steph Curry go off and hit a shot in the corner. It just ended, you know, it was just a dagger, man. Just a dagger. And AD, he's really not been criticized for his shortcomings in the same way that every other top 10 player really is. And I challenge you to tell me of a top 10 player who receives less criticism than Anthony Davis. I'll wait. Oh, okay then. And, you know, because expectations have been low for his team, I understand, but at the same time, he's never really been in the pressure cooker. All right, in Boston, he's not going to have nowhere to hide. All right, they have a great head coach, good young talent, and the front office, they're not afraid. All right, they're cold-blooded. They're not afraid to make moves to keep you in contending mode. All right, the question Danny Ainge has right now is, do you make the move for Davis now and secure him from the thirsty Lakers, who are probably throwing everything to New Orleans to try and get him, everything in the kitchen sink? Or do they risk Kyrie walking and have to use one of their young pieces along with Gordon Hayward to secure Davis later? So Boston is definitely in a sticky situation, but this could be great because let's just say this. If Boston was able to hold on to Kyrie this summer, and he signs on the first day possible, July 1st, and AD is still available, the Celtics would finally be forced to this junction, however, to choose between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. This is because, while yes, a Gordon Hayward trade is definitely what the Celtics want because they don't want that contract. All right, and they got to clear up space to bring on Anthony Davis. The Pelicans are going to want some young talent as well. So Danny Ainge in that scenario would most likely not be able to hold on to both those guys. All right, both of them are starving to have their own situation to become a star. So it will come down to which player fits better in your system. While Jason Tatum is 1 or so years younger and is a more complete offensive player, Jaylen Brown is much more raw physical potential, and while, you know, locked in, he's a pretty serious pesky defender when he's locked in. Personally, I would keep Brown because I'm noticing that Tatum in this hype might really, you know, might have him reading headlines a little too much and believing his own hype train, working out with Kobe, media dig riding him and all that stuff. Might not be beneficial to his growth. When quiet is kept, Jaylen Brown led the Celtics in scoring in the Eastern Conference Finals and played 29 less total minutes than Tatum did. So that's just something to think about if I'm Danny Ainge. Gotta look at that and definitely make the right decision. So basically, Boston can choose to replace Kyrie, a champion, with AD, who is a superstar, but who is also not, you know, really battle-tested in deep playoff runs. They can elect to wait, risking losing Kyrie and having to trade a young piece to obtain AD, as well as losing Gordon Hayward and then losing that young talent, that young piece. They would have to choose between which hungry young wing they need the most and who can bring AD back in a trade, Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. That was it for this one. The Celtics definitely have a lot of decisions to make, but I do believe that trade of Danny will stand pat this season because I know he has a lot of confidence, whatever plan they have in the Boston Celtics master control room. I just know this, Kyrie definitely did not just apologize just to do it, but also to aid in his younger players respecting the pecking order and working towards a championship. All right, there's a reason he goes by the moniker of Uncle Juice, because he looks at himself as being very wise and seeing things before they come. And also remember that his mentor is Mr. Kobe Bryant. All right, now you already know to never be mad at me, but be mad at yourself for being an underachiever. Play the outro.